There is countless evidence that the cube is about to return in Season 7. But how is it going to return? Where's it going to be located? And how long? In today's video, we discuss all of the evidence so far in Season 7 of the cube's return. We're going to go from the very first sighting of the cube shards underneath Polar Peak, all the way to the discovery of this active cube stone. From the Ice King's secret powerful stone to these strange squares floating in the sky. This is the complete collection of all the evidence that the cube is returning in Fortnite in Season 7. So far, because there's bound to be more stuff coming. Let's get right into it. There are mass reports that there is a stone underneath the Polar Peak iceberg, which is the same stones and rocks that the cube lifted up during Season 6. Players are finding a way to glitch under the ground to actually see this stone. As of right now, the iceberg still has probably another stage to go before it reaches its final form. And we still don't know what is really going to happen in Season 7. So to see this piece of the cube randomly placed underneath the iceberg causes for great concern and excitement. Is the cube coming back? But this piece of evidence right here does throw all of our theories into the air. What if it's in fact not an ice dragon, but it's the cube? What if the cube or a piece of the cube is hidden underneath Polar Peak? What if there is a cube underneath Polar Peak which is slowly heating and melting the island? More images of this unknown falling object are being reported online. And it is becoming clear that this might be the cube. I want to wind us back to the start of 2019. On the New Year's event, an unknown falling object was seen flying through the sky. Players that are reporting seeing something in the sky during the firework event. Something that can only be described so far as a purple comet racing across the sky and landing in the ocean. At least that's what it looks like. Multiple people have sent me pictures of this thing in game, which currently is pretty difficult to explain. As of current, this is still unknown, but many people theorize that this could be the return of the cube. Although images are still surfacing of this strange object in the sky, it would seem that there are more and more hints that the cube is coming back, making players believe that this is the cube. The most recent piece of evidence that the cube is returning is in the lobby screen for many players, including myself. They were able to see a large square object right in the background. This massive object currently lacks description because we can't see the color of it and we can't see what's on it, but it is a massive square. And let's be honest, Fortnite is known for its massive squares. With these two things happening at a relatively similar time, players are starting to believe that the cube has already landed back in our Fortnite world. But it's not landed on the land. It might have landed in the ocean. Players are speculating if this unknown object landed in the ocean, then the cube could rise out of the ocean, out of the sea, back onto our land. And maybe even tying in our third theory, the theory of the flood. If the cube is to rise out of the ocean, maybe in some crazy way, that could be the catalyst of the flood. These are a bunch of wild theories, I know, and most people don't even go to this location. But it is interesting how Epic Games does leave chests in such places that will take you to this location. The same location where this unknown flying object fell from the sky. Why does Epic Games want us to be here and looking out in this direction? Is it a mystery, or are we onto something? The floating ice ball has shattered, and the Ice King has brought a snowstorm, as well as the power of the cube. The the interesting thing with these ice themes is these are the same ones that the cube brought back in Season 6, which would suggest that in some way, the Ice King has harnessed the power of the cube and brought these fiends back to life. We did speculate in the last video that the Ice King actually does have the power of the cube. To me, it does seem convincing that this mystical rock could have something to do with the cube. Although these fiends aren't purple, and neither are these icy rocks, it's still the same power that the cube brought. An unknown object is being seen in the sky, but this time with a very familiar shape. People are reporting seeing a large square object flying across our Fortnite sky. Anything that is square is obviously a great cause for concern. This strange and unusual square block can be seen in the skies during the first couple of minutes of each game, and players are speculating that if this is a square, well, it could be the cube. If this is the cube, however, what is it doing in the sky, and how is it moving around in this way? You can see that the square kind of bends and curves around, almost implying that it's floating around, that it's not a solid object. This would seem to be unusual behavior if it was the cube, but what else could it be? A whole bunch of people have sent pictures of this weird cube phenomenon in Fortnite, and they've sent them to me. And to be honest, it's hard to tell whether this is the cube or is this just a glitch. At the moment, I'm favoring the idea that this could just be a glitch in the game, but we all know that glitches in Fortnite usually come about when there is a big change in the storyline. Every time Epic Games tries to implement something big, we usually find glitches all along the way, and this might just be an indication of something that's coming. This chained up piece of cubestone is activating early in everyone's game, confirming that the cube is alive, but currently hidden in our Fortnite world. Today we're talking about the cube, specifically about this chained up piece of cubestone that is a backpack in the game for players. This piece of cubestone is very, very interesting and concerning because it's activating early in everyone's game. You see that with the cube? This backpack is called Shackled Stone, and it was an item that you could acquire back in Season 6. It's one of these items that changes over the time of the game, reactivate, transforms by dealing damage or by outliving other players. Back in Season 6, when players would use this stone would only activate whilst you're in the bottom 30. But for some reason now, this cube stone is activating as soon as players get into game. This makes absolutely no sense unless the cube is actually returning. But this is the most convincing evidence we've had so far, because it's the only sign that the cube is actually activated right now. This piece of shackled stone marks the activation of the cube stone in our game. The question now lies, where is the cube, or where is the energy of the cube at the moment in the game? Is it at Polar Peak, hidden deep within the ice castle? Is it at Loot Lake, where there are currently several huge cube shards resting deep in the ground? Or is it in the ocean, hidden deep under the dark waves? These are all locations for the cube to potentially re-emerge, and it would seem that this is going to happen real soon. This stone has finally confirmed that wherever the cube is in our Fortnite world, it is activated, and it's coming really soon. Something strange was happening at Polar Peak during the Marshmallow event. what can only be described as a purple light shining through the tunnels from where the Fire King once was. Are these two events connected? Well, I guess we're about to find out. We've just experienced the next big event, the Marshmallow event. Now, for the most part, this seems to be a bit of fun with lots of lights and music and obviously the DJ himself, Marshmallow. But there was something strange going on in the background whilst this was all happening. Players were actually able to explore the storm whilst the event was going on without taking any damage. As well as this, you were actually able to fly around the entire map, which is crazy. But players did see something even crazier. Players are reporting seeing a strange purple light coming from Polar Peak during the event. Now, it doesn't seem that a lot of people are talking about this right now because the event has just happened and people were too busy watching the event. Something was happening at Polar Peak during this event, and we don't quite know what. Speculations lead me to believe that it was either one of two things. Either this was just some strange glitch where the lights were reflecting off the ice, or something difficult to explain like that. Or maybe, just maybe, there's something inside Polar Peak which was reacting during this event. Maybe something that we've been expecting for a long time. Maybe it was the cube.